Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Hancock, and today I want to look at Lakewood Ranch versus Venice, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different take. I'm going to go back and forth and relate every contrast very closely to the other one. It's not really what is good and what is bad, but it's what is different. That's where both of these are way more valuable. Is you need both to make value of the both. So we went through, what is a turnkey area versus possible appreciation by being a little new. How big's too big? Beach proximity is not all of what it appears on the surface. All is not equal. Airports and everything in between. So I hope you enjoy my thought exercise take. And if I can assist you anyway in the real estate market in Southwest Florida, Tampa Bay down to Marco Island, please consider reaching out. There's some fun email lists, relocation guides, and the like in the description box below as well. Without further ado, let's hop in. Number one, let's start off with Lakewood Ranch and talk about the turnkey nature of what this place is. It's not nothing, because if you're looking cross-country move, and everyone watching this video probably is somewhere in between there, and I've done that, and it's not fun. What you're looking for is you're constantly fighting to learn more information, to have some for sure thing. Like nothing we know definitively will work, but you're trying to get the closest you can to that, not only in the home price, but in the area and all the kind of things that look interesting online that could be different when you get there. Lakewood Ranch is not one of those places. And like, I have two kids under 8, and if you're moving with children and you're saying like, what are the school districts going to be? How multi-generational is it? Where are my friends where are all their friends and our friends? Are they going to be a similar demographic, this kind of thing? You need an area that's a little bit more mature. And in this case, you'd get new construction mixed with that environment. In contrast to that, the first kind of, not really even good or bad, but different, that the Venice/Welland Park would have is that it's not that. It's a historic town that's at its infancy of new development, basically. It's the same reason that a house in Lakewood Ranch might cost $200,000 for the same exact model right now in Welland Park is the same reason people are nervous about the ambiguity, with a little uncertainty of what it's going to be at something that's newer in patching onto the side of a town. Basically, if you would have seen Lakewood Ranch in 1998, you might feel similar. There's going to be opportunity because most people will take the for sure thing. And even if you're like, it might be too far from the beach or whatever it may be, they're going to go for the slam dunk. And if you lean in the other direction, if it ends up being right for you, you could get really interesting advantages right now in 2025. And the best part of all of it, it's binary. When you look at both of them, most people aren't saying like, oh yeah, I could do both. They're picking one or the other. And I think that people watching this video will do the same. All right, next random topic. Let's talk about beach proximity. And this is probably the proverbial elephant in the room, because everyone's like, Welland Park's close to the beach, Lakewood Ranch is not. But I think it's a more nuanced argument than that, because some of Lakewood Ranch is just as close to the beach as most of Welland Park. It's just different. If you end up in the waterside district of Lakewood Ranch, the lowest part, you are, because of the angle, depending on community of Bonsi to Wild Blue, you're 9 to 15 miles one way to getting past downtown Sarasota to get to really like the Lido Beach centric area, more or less. The big difference with Lakewood Ranch, though, is it's massive, right? So you have 33,000 plus acres. If you don't catch that one strip of waterside in Sarasota County, the rest of it is a big divide. The rest of it, central Lakewood Ranch and above, is how people would make that argument that I flirted out at the beginning of this section. Now, if you go to Welland Park, it is almost all of it. So say that if waterside was a 20% of all of Lakewood Ranch, it's as close to the beach as almost all of Welland Park. If you go to like this in the state, the shape of the state as you go down, it just gets closer on the same interstate line to the water because it pinches. And where Welland Park's built, it looks inland, but that entire area is basically 18 minutes one way or less to the beach. So that's how people start to get in those interesting things. But if you end up in the right part of waterside and you're saying, I'm not going to pick Lakewood Ranch versus Welland because of beach proximity, you might want to take a second look at getting at the community level argument. The biggest part on top of all of that is all beaches aren't equals. Like, what do you like? Because just being next to the water for water's sake, for most people, hasn't actually been what they're trying to do. They're trying to get next to certain beaches they like. And if you like the more uppity Siesta Key, but more importantly, Lido, St. Armand Circle, downtown Sarasota, lower Longboat Key vibe, then Welland Park's not closer to that. It's closer to Venice Beach, more importantly, Manasota Key, maybe Casperson and Brohard. So you got a little bit of the eye of the beholder style element to there, but I would look at sections of these two cities when comparing beach proximity. All right, third one, let's just call capacity for activity. So you can say on one hand that Lakewood Ranch, Florida area just wins this one bar none. You know, it has hundreds of clubs, new library, aquatic center, kids sports, there's adventure parks. It just blows you away with the amount of access, gymnastics, everything in between, jump centers, like you name it, it's there. And then Welland Park doesn't quite have that yet, if ever. Well, what I would make the argument for is not everybody might want that. You know, like I assume a lot of times that, yeah, it's just a clear cut binary decision between the two. It's a divide. But what I'm finding is people are choosing the alternative. They're saying that, you know, Welland Park as a whole is 10 to 20% the size of all of Lakewood Ranch, even with the expansion. Online, it looks like it's just one area you go to, it's all there. It's not, though. So for good or bad, it's kind of separated a little bit. So even as they expand south, what they're going to continue to do, I've seen some crazy plans with that. I don't think it's going to end up looking like Lakewood necessarily. And it's going to give people even more of an intentional decision. But then again, it still has everything you need, right? So that's what the best argument about this is. It's not a poo-poo one, the other one wins. It's a once you see both, you make smarter decisions about both at the same time. Because Welland has really high rated public schools. Everybody acts like Venice is super old, but you have Venice Senior High on the island, Welland Park High School, Laurel Nokomis is a 9 out of 10. Pineview, I think, is the #1 elementary school in America. And all those kids live down there, not school choicing south necessarily. So I think whether you are an empty nester looking to not be in the hustle bustle of the multi-generational Lakewood Ranch, or you have a young family that you'd like to raise in a more coastal kind of Wilmington, North Carolina kind of vibe and not be in a crazy as an environment northeast as Lakewood Ranch, or if you want the opposite of that, both of these will satiate one of those two needs within the same town. All right, next one is airport proximity. Whether you're Canadian, New York, whatever it may be, a lot of people that are coming here aren't from here. So inherently, they have the need to visit the people back home, still have ties to the area, want to travel. And you hear a lot like of the negatives of, and you hear both, right? You hear mostly you hear the negatives of being in Venice to airports because it gets you awkward to both RSW South in Fort Myers, Tampa International North, and then Sarasota, like SRQ Airport, which is kind of expanding and growing. So most people prefer Tampa Bay and Sarasota's airport for international flights. Most aren't going all the way to Orlando because Tampa satiates that need. But when you look at these on a map, let's compare the two. I'm in Venice and I'm exit 202 to below, but slightly below. And I'm in Lakewood Ranch and I'm exit 210 to 217, 220 maybe. Most people. And you say, where are all the airports? Well, if I'm in that negative area that's not that close, right? What it actually looks like, traffic aside, of course, is it looks like Venice area is about an hour 10 one way to RSW South, but only an hour 20-ish one way to Tampa to the north, 45 minutes to SRQ Airport. Lakewood, 16 miles one way because it's on the northeast corridor by Tampa, 25 minutes one way to SRQ, and then an hour 20 to RSW. If you take all of that, you're like, we're talking 10-minute differential for the most part, traffic aside, of course. To say that's where you pick your homestead, it's not like 3 hours versus 1. So I would make the argument maybe that's a little bit overblown. I think they're all kind of accessible, but depending on where you live in the country, I think anywhere you live within the Sarasota Manatee County districts without getting way on the outskirts, everything's in play. And I don't think you would take 12 miles close to the airport to change completely where you live in the city. All right, folks, that is a wrap for today's video on the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel. My name is Adam Hancock. If you liked the video and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Most Wednesdays, Sundays, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern for the balance of the year. We will be putting out a ton of content, a lot of variety. Subscribing is simply the way to see what's coming next, even if you don't watch episodically. Beyond that, a couple housekeeping items. One, of course, if I can assist you in the real estate market, if you're watching these videos, you're looking at relocating 2 years from now, 10 years from now, it doesn't matter, and you like these kind of videos, our real estate team is right on the back of this. We do a lot of new construction, a lot of relocation, but we're not mutually exclusive to it. Buying, selling, and or investing, all residential services. If you like this kind of style, please consider reaching out. I mentioned a relocation guide very briefly in the intro. We have Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, best place to live in Florida. And these give you a high-level flipbook view. You have neighborhoods, restaurants, things to do, things like that. That's in the description box below. One of the best things you could absolutely do beyond all of that is the 30-day email list. I write one email every 30 days. It's about Southwest Florida-centric real estate, and it's no frills, bullet points, just bop, 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 bop. You can reach out and ask for the last version if you'd like to see an example of it. but it allows me to be in a real-time loop, more or less, right? If you watch these videos, they have to have some evergreen component to them. You might watch 8 months from now, the video I'm filming today. I have to slightly consider that at least. Email, I don't, right? It's on a loop. So I can talk about incentives that are available today that are not going to be available in July. Things we're interested in, things we're working through, things my customers are doing well that you could benefit from as the next. It's kind of know first, benefit next kind of idea. If you don't do any of those things, thank you guys so much for consuming any of my content. We'll see you on the next one.